Hello everybody, it's Ernie. I'm back to talk to you about filing your eviction petition in the midst of a pandemic. Here's what you need to know. Let's get started. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I've been helping clients for over a decade, and now I'm coming straight to you. To get even more great videos, click our links to like and subscribe. Stay in touch by phone, text, email, or on our highly interactive Facebook group, Texas Landlords. And now, Ernie Talks. So the COVID-19 pandemic has brought about multiple changes that you need to consider when you're on your way to the courthouse. Among those are the kinds of things you need to fill out for the court to process your eviction. You will be asked multiple questions and you may not know the answers to these questions. The last thing you want to do is guess and then end up guessing wrong. Among these, you're going to be asked whether your property is subject to the Federal CARES Act, which was signed in March of 2020. To be subject to the CARES Act, that means that your property is either A, attached to some kind of loan that is federally backed, either by Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. Additionally, your property may be subject to certain limitations based on its financing and the fact that it is a multi-family property. Or finally, you may be subject to the CARES Act if, in your case, you're already involved in some kind of federal program having to do with housing or rental assistance. So if you're not subject to the CARES Act, you'll simply mark your petition as such. Next, you'll have to reveal whether or not your tenant has handed you a signed declaration of a covered person, as described in the CDC Eviction Moratorium order. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Centers for Disease Control issued an order in September of this year that allows certain tenants to halt their eviction proceeding based on their written declaration. Now remember, just because your tenant has submitted this form doesn't mean you cannot proceed with your eviction. What it does mean is you'll have one additional step if you plan to contest the CDC declaration. The court can give you a hearing, you'll attend that hearing, and only afterward can you proceed with your eviction. Finally, you're going to have to disclose in your petition to the court whether you have reviewed the details of the Texas Eviction Diversion Program. Now, if you have no idea what that is, there are websites. I've created multiple videos on the topic. You will want to educate yourself because you may find yourself being asked point blank by the court, is this something that you want? If you have no idea what the program intends to accomplish, you may pass on something that you may actually benefit from. However, if you have reviewed the details of this program and you recognize that it's not suitable for your needs or it's not an option that you're even interested in considering, don't elect it. It's a voluntary program that, if selected, could put your eviction on hold for 60 days. So make sure you know the facts about this program before you say yes or no. In any case, you have to indicate in your petition when you are filing that you have reviewed these details. Naturally, the old standbys are still part of an eviction filing. You will have to indicate your knowledge of whether or not your tenant is a member of the armed services. So you will still be filling out a military affidavit with each of your eviction petitions. When you are filing your eviction petition, we recommend that you seek out more than one basis for your eviction. Specifically, if you're only proceeding on a non-payment of rent cause of action for your eviction, we believe that you are essentially setting yourself up for delay. Your best option is to have multiple reasons for your eviction petition, some that are both rent-related but also non-rent related. If you have a month-to-month tenancy, you have a tenant whose lease has otherwise expired and their lease is going forward on a month-to-month basis, you may consider a slightly longer strategy for your notice to vacate. Let me explain. You have an opportunity to prevent delay when you have a basis for your eviction that has nothing to do with rent. Presently, an eviction moratorium is in place for any covered person who submits their CDC declaration to a landlord. However, we have no idea whether or not the December 31st end date for that moratorium will be extended into 2021. If it is, then you could be in some hot water when it comes to your own mortgage and taxes that'll come due in 2021 when no rent revenue is coming in. So how do you prevent this? Well, you may find that your tenant has violated your lease in a number of ways. For example, the tenant may have unauthorized occupants residing on the premises. The tenant may have an unauthorized pet. There may be damage to the premises or criminal activity. So each of these non-rent violations are not covered in the CDC eviction moratorium. So when you file, if you include all of the potential violations, rent-related and non-rent related, you're likely to have more success in your eviction because only the rent issues can be halted. If you're still seeking possession of the premises, the non-rent issues should be allowed to proceed to trial. Additionally, if you're dealing with a tenant who is on a month-to-month basis, and this could happen in a number of ways, either originally the lease itself was established as a month-to-month lease, or perhaps the original term of the lease has lapsed into a month-to-month tenancy. If that's the case for you, you may want a slightly different strategy with your notice to vacate. You may, for example, want instead to send a 30-day notice of termination. If the tenant is unwilling to move, on day 31, you would have an option of sending a notice to vacate on the basis of, for example, failure to leave upon termination. It's also called holdover, but also any of these other bases, the unauthorized pet, the unauthorized occupant, and non-payment of rent. What this would do is give you a surer footing as you step into the eviction court. Now, you'll want your petition to reflect that each of these violations have been accounted for in your lawsuit. You don't want to wait until the day of court to, at that point, reveal, well, I had multiple reasons for this eviction, but I only put non-payment of rent there because I had an appointment. I was running late and I needed to get out of there quickly. That's not going to fly. And so for a number of reasons, your eviction petition must adequately inform the tenant of the basis for your eviction. If you are sending a notice to vacate, my recommendation is that it's based on more than just a non-payment of rent issue. Again, if you're in a position to terminate a lease because essentially 30 days notice does it with or without fault, you may want to elect that option. If you are on the verge of an eviction petition and you need help making sure that you are stepping into the courtroom with a solid petition that, even if challenged with a CDC declaration, or if you're proposed with entering into the Texas eviction diversion program, you'll know how to do that and how to respond. You want to be able to set yourself up to recover possession as quickly as possible. Additionally, if your tenant knows that you have offered a petition to the court that is unlikely to be stalled by a CDC declaration or unlikely to be a good candidate for the Texas eviction diversion program, you might have a tenant who's likelier to work things out with you in terms of curing the rent default or surrendering possession to you sooner rather than later. So as always, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. If you have questions for me, please let me know. Comment below. I enjoy answering questions, as many as I can, whenever they come in. I also enjoy hearing from you through email and through text. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're doing well. And until next time, happy leasing. If you enjoyed this video, we invite you to like and subscribe. Follow our links to even more great content. We're always adding to this collection. If you have a video topic you'd like to see, comment below.